Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Conversations with Carol, where we bring the change and be the change. Now, today I'd like to start with something I read online, which I found so profound. A water bottle in the supermarket is worth 50 shillings approximately. Same bottle in a bar is 100 shillings. In a good restaurant or hotel, it can be worth 200 shillings, and at an airport or a plane, even up to 500 shillings. The bottle is the same, the brand too. The only thing that changes is the place. Each place gives a different value to the same product. When you feel zero, you're worthless. When everyone around you despises you, change places, don't stay there. Have the courage to change your circle and go to a place where they give you the courage you deserve and consider you who you are. Surround yourself with people who really appreciate your work. Don't settle for less. Now, more often than not, when we want to move up the ladder, maybe in our careers, when we want to make certain changes in our lives, when we want to try something new, we always get many opinions that pull us back. Yeah? But then what does this reading or article say? We need to surround ourselves either with people who lift us up. Sometimes it might also mean you need to change your attitude, not really the place, because how many times can you really change, the place or change people who surround you? Sometimes it means changing your attitude. Yeah. So today we have a special guest with us. Guess what? She's a millennial, below 30 years of age. She is sitting in the C-suite. And this is interesting because when I told a friend of mine that I have another friend who is sitting in the C-suite, she said, of course, she's running her own business. But no, this is an employment, yeah? So I want to let her introduce herself. Welcome, Fiona.
Thank you,
and
Carol.
Thank you so much for honoring us at Conversations with Carol by being our first guest.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. This is a big milestone for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so please introduce yourself.
So my name is Fiona Amemba, and I am the Group CFO of Q Sourcing Servtec Limited, and I'm happy to be here today.
Karibu sana.
Santi.
Group CFO.
Yes.
Wow.
Imagine.
At only 28 years old.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Maybe take us through your childhood, because I know our childhood gets to influence who we are as adults.
So my childhood was pretty, I would say, interesting. I'm the firstborn in a family of 6, but 4 siblings. Mm-hmm. So I was born actually in Kakamega, and we moved to Nairobi when I was about 2 years old. I went to kindergarten. I think one of the most interesting things about me in kindergarten, my mom tells me now, is that when I'd come back from school, we used to live in Komarok at the time, and I'd be the first one to go to school because my school was on Gong Road. So they'd pick me up first because it was very far, right? And I would be the last one to come back home as well. But my mom would tell me that when I come back home, I wouldn't eat until I finished my homework when I was like 4 years old, which is crazy. So I think I would say from when I was young, I guess was very industrious or hardworking, with that example. I went to Kilimani Primary School. I was there for about 4 years, and then moved to Kianda School just after the free primary education came about. When I was there, it was a hard transition from Kilimani to Kianda because Kilimani was a public school. Kianda is a private school, and I used to speak Kiswahili and Cheng, and here I was in a school with bougie people who only speak English, so that was hard. Transitioning into that, being bullied a bit actually, but I worked hard. KCP, I got about 395 marks, which was lower than what I wanted because I wanted 400 and above, but luckily I got called back to Kianda High School. So I was happy about that, and I went into Form 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just before we go to high school, why was it important for maybe your parents to transition you from a public school to a private school? Would you know?
Yeah, I do. So at the time, Kibaki came into power, and there was free primary education. My parents felt like the quality of the education would go down because of that. It was a new thing. How many students would be in a class? You'd have to share so many books. So thankfully, they had the resources to move my sister and I. So they moved us to Kianda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to high school.
Yeah. So high school, Form 1, of course, you're excited. New school. I think I was fine from 1 and from 2, but my grades weren't the best, to be honest. I wasn't top of my class. In high school, I was average. I'd get B's, C's. So yeah, when I got to, my mom is a teacher, so she's very focused on us, doing well in school. She believes education is very important. So does my dad. So she tried to get like a few tutors here and there because I think one of the things that made me get lower grades is that I had a really bad attitude with a few teachers, like 1 or 2. Maths and physics in particular, I had one teacher who me and her could not so I just blocked off. Like me, I was like, maths and physics, I can't. So I was getting like, I think E's at the time. And now you're going into Form 3 and KCSE is like around the corner and you have to go to, university. So I think in Form 3, maybe about that time, I picked up my socks. I did a few tutoring here and there. I did my KCSE and I got a B. And again, I was so disappointed because I believe my potential is so much higher than that. My dad told me all my life that I was really, really good in school. I had high potential. My parents encouraged me as well. Actually, funny thing, in kindergarten, I was meant to skip class 1. Yeah.
Because you're that bright.
Yeah, imagine. So here I am, getting 395, getting a B.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to skip a class.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But just before we go on, I'd like to understand, did you ever feel like your parents probably put you up to it, or was it something that you really wanted? That is to be the best in your class, in whichever primary school, high school. Did you ever feel like it was your parents or it was you?
That's a very good question. I've never thought about it, but when I think about it now, I think it was more of them. Reason why I say that is when you're a kid, I don't think you know very much. Like when you're below 5, a kid is like, it's a blank slate when you get a child, right? And you feed into them. And I think that feeding into them then makes them bloom is how I look at it. So as a 5-year-old, I didn't think anything about school or succeeding. You're just there, you're playing, you're having fun. But I think my parents instilling that you could be something, you should work hard, education is important. Then it sticks into you, and then now you believe it. So I would say it's them who instilled it. And then as I grew up, then I realized, I'm smart, I'm confident, I'm all of these things. I can be anything that I want to be.
Okay, all right. So now we go to campus. Yeah. So which campus did you go to?
I went to SIU. I did International Business Administration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. Yeah. Is that something that you always wanted to do? Are you interested in business?
Not really. Actually, funny story. I wanted to do international relations.
Yeah.
And then I went to SIU to get like prospectus, blah, blah, blah. And I was confused with IR and IBA. Yeah.
What is IR?
IR is international relations.
Okay, and IBA?
International Business Administration.
Okay.
So I went to see the career advisor there, and I was like, I'm confused between IBA and IR. What should I do? And all she told me was go to the newspaper, check. Kitambo, they used to put like jobs at the back.
Yeah.
I think they still do that. The newspapers Friday and Wednesday, and check the jobs there. So I went home, I looked to check the jobs, and there was like no job for international relations. That's what made me decide. So basically I was like, okay, I'd like to have a job, and clearly this doesn't seem like it's easy to get a job in. So I did IBA.
I think that approach is quite interesting. Don't you think so? I never thought about it that way. When you're choosing a course,
Hmm.
go and look at the available opportunities,
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
course you're
Yeah.
doing. Then that will help you make a decision. At first when you were talking, I wanted to cancel her out.
Mm.
But it's actually a good approach to see what your possibilities are.
Yeah, it's true because let's be realistic. Like we live in the third world countries. Yeah, we live in a third world country. Yeah, and we can always say that you can do whatever you like to do, and that's partly true. But I think at the same time, you also have to be a realist to some extent. Initially, I was a very huge optimist. You can do anything you want to be. You want to be, I don't know, play the cello. It's fine, and you could, yeah. But if you decide to go that route, all it means is that do you have the perseverance and the persistence to stick through all the bottlenecks you find just because you're born in Kenya? Yeah. So I think she was trying to be realistic, right? It's just it's a matter of probabilities. I'm a finance person, so probabilities. And IBA had a higher probability of me getting a job compared to IR in Kenya, according to the job adverts. So I'm a realist and an optimist. I'm half now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what else did you do in campus? I know campus life is a bit different. Yeah, you get to experience quite a number of things, be in clubs, do sports. So what else did you do?
I did a variety of things because I believe, so I think my dad has been a mentor throughout my life, right? Given the fact that he's worked in corporate, I guess maybe 20 years now, it's been good to have him to just give me guidance. And one of the things is that he told me that when you go to campus, you need to have more than just your first class honors, for example. So when I went into campus, I knew I had to do other things. So I did fun things like organize events. So I did Mr. and Miss Life. I did Drug Awareness Week. I did graduation dinners, which was fun. And there's skills you get through that, right? You get project management skills. You get teamwork skills because you're working with a team. You get confidence, to build your confidence because you're talking to people in the administration about your budget. You get skills in terms of budgeting. I was in ISEC. ISEC is a fantastic organization. That was the club I was in. I was in business club. I vied for student office. Wow. I didn't win, but that's another way to build some skills and confidence. So imagine having your posters all over school, asking people to vote for you. What else did I do? I think those are the highlights. I would say. I attended a conference in Tanzania, Arusha, representing the business school. I was class rep like all the time. So
Fiona, where did you get the time to do all that? I'm thinking of my campus life right now, and you're making me feel like I never did enough. So where did you get all the time to do that?
Imagine there's so much time in a day if you think about it. We have 24 hours, right? You sleep for 8, so you have 16 hours. Class is 8 hours. So what are you doing the other 8 hours? Even if in your life, I always ask myself that question. What are you really doing in the other 8 hours?
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your childhood with us. The reason why I asked Fiona to just share about her childhood with us is because our childhood influences who we are as adults. And what I'm picking out from your story is you really had a supportive family, as much as, they pushed you to get good grades. But at the same time, I could hear you saying your dad encouraged you, kept on encouraging you to reach your potential. Which are really, the importance of the words you use. You have not reached your potential. You can reach your potential. Such powerful words. And I can see that those words really had an influence in your life to this extent where we have, we have reached here. But there's something we had spoken about when we were talking, Fiona, about your graduation in campus, and the grades you got. Tell us a bit about that.
So, as I've said previously, it seems like I never meet my mark, right? So graduation, now uni, I was like, this is where I give everything. Like I literally was studying all the time and also trying to do other things. But then when my final transcript came out, I had a GPA of 3.4. out of 4. For people who don't know what that means, it's just basically, if you do percentages, that's like 87%, or 7.5 maybe.
That's a first class, yeah?
Yeah, it's a first class, technically, in like public school, but it's not enough in the American system to get honors. So in the American system, you need a 3.5 GPA to get honors. So I was so disappointed. Like, my heart crashed.
Yeah.
I went into a very mini, like, I think it was like a mini depression almost. I didn't want to go for graduation at all because I felt like I didn't meet my mark. I wanted to go for my master's abroad and get a full scholarship. I didn't think I could achieve that. But I think my parents encouraged me and they told me it's good enough. It's 87.5, seriously. So I went for graduation. And I was actually working at the time already.
Your internship,
yes.
Again, being in a very supportive environment. I like that your parents really encouraged you. I know some of my audience might feel like, oh gosh, Fiona, you're a bit too much.
I am a bit too much.
And this is not to say that all of us need to strive to get to that point. This is her story. And the things that are really important to her. And
so, just to chime in, Carol, I think even looking back through that experience, especially in after graduation, my undergrad, I think I was too hard on myself. So I would encourage the viewers not to be as hard on yourself. Your mental health is also important. Once you've done your best, it should be enough, right? Because sometimes we set the bar too high for ourselves. We don't pat ourselves on the back. We think that we have to be, excellent. But if you've done your best, that's enough. And
you've just mentioned that you are also working. Fiona, did you have friends? People would think that during that stage of life, that's the time, you have friends, you're partying, doing such things. Did you have a social life?
Technically, no. But I had friends. And the friends I had in uni were my friends from high school, actually. I've maintained the same friends throughout my life. A very small circle. Of course, I've added on as I continued growing. But at the time, I just had three friends. And I think that was actually very good. Because, when you go to uni as well, there's all this freedom and all these other new people who've been raised in different families who you don't know what their morals are, etc., etc. I think having those 3 friends who were in Kianda with me kind of like made us focus and on what was important. We had the same morals, the same beliefs. You are your circle. At the end of the day.
Profound.
So also check what your circle is or who you use in your circle.
But quite at a young age, to realize, to come to such a realization, did someone talk to you about that, or it's just something you figured out? Because, we are in a digital world. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and we tend to feel, especially, as millennials, as Gen Zs, we tend to feel, I think actually it's even everyone these days, we tend to feel that the more followers you have, the more likes you have, the more friends you have, that's really your network. What do you think about that?
I think, of course, the internet has its benefits, right? But when it comes to friendship, for me, I feel that the friends or followers you have on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, TikTok now, are they really your friends? Like, really? I think most of the times we are trying to seek validation from outside parties, right? Your friends would possibly be 5. A friend is someone who will be there for you in times of need. So if you are not to post for 3 months, will they call you? Or they'll wait for your next post, right? So I think we need to think about that. And also look internally, right, for us to have that self-worth. Because most of the times we are really just seeking validation by looking for those likes.
Okay. So thank you so much for being vulnerable enough with us to share such an important part, of your life. Your childhood really is a very important part. So now we move to a very, 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 this is where it gets hot. This is
Yeah.
when it gets hot. You start working. Let's go back to your internship. When you're in campus, you normally do, there's a period where you do your internship, yeah? But that also led to now your whole career, if I may say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your internship and then see how that progresses into your career.
Yes. So going back to uni before graduation, one of the things you have to do is internship.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was interesting because I didn't actually go out and send emails or spam my CV. So what happened was, funny story. So at that time, I had realized I wanted to do investments, right? That was what I fell in love with. One of the courses I did, and I was like, I'm doing investments. And so my parents knew that. And my dad one day was reading the newspaper and he saw that there was going to be a talk in it was Hilton. And the person who was going to speak, her name is Andia Chakava. And she was the youngest female managing director in an asset management firm in Kenya. She became the MD at 29.
Wow.
So of course my dad was like, this is perfect, she's a woman, she's in investments, you should go. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. So I woke up, got ready Saturday morning and went for the talk. And I went early, so I was there maybe 30 minutes before. We were just sitting, waiting for the speakers. And then, so when we were waiting, the MC took the mic and mentioned, is there someone who's here and they're looking for something, right? The speakers were seated at the podium. And I put up my hand. I stood up and I put up my hand. And she was like, okay, tell us about yourself. And I was like, my name is Fiona and I'm looking for an internship from Andia. And so she told Andia, there's someone who wants to see you. And when Andia came up to speak, she said, Fiona, look for me after this talk. And so after the talk, I went to Andia and introduced myself. I told her about myself and what I want to do. I told her I want to do investments. And she told me, call me when you're ready. So the internship was meant to start in September. It was July. In about August, I texted her. And she said she's talked to the board. They're not willing to pay me anything. And I told her I'm willing to start without pay because all I want is the experience. So that was the beginning of my career. And Andia was a great mentor in my job thereafter.
So just two things I'd like to mention, and especially to our viewers before we proceed, so that you're able to pick out some key lessons. One thing that really amazed me is, you were able to lift up your hand and say what brought you there. Brave enough to even mention someone's name. You're here to see Andia. That really is so brave. It's quite brave because most of us fear lifting our hands and being the only people speaking in the room. And the second thing, that was quite amazing was when you were told that there was no budget, for your position, you were willing to work for free. How many of us, especially young people, are willing to work for free? How many of us are willing to lift their hands in a room full of people and say what they really want or what has brought them there? Okay. So you got the internship, you worked for free. How long did you work there? How was your experience there in a nutshell?
It was amazing, honestly. I was so excited to work. Wear official clothes and shoes. I loved the company. Everybody was just so inviting and so helpful and willing to just bombard me with so much information for me to learn and grow. And they treated me like I was their young sister, because I was the youngest. I was 21 at the time when I started working. And I learned so much through that experience. The internship was supposed to be 3 months according to the school guidelines. I did my 3 months and ended up paying me from her pocket. She wrote me a small check after the 3 months.
I imagine how exciting that was for you then.
To bank a check. And also I just took that opportunity full throttle. At the same time, so when I finished my 3 months, she was also the country manager for another organization called New Faces, New Voices, which is basically an NGO that is trying to uplift women in Africa, and it's led by Grasa Machel. And so when the internship ended, and because she, I guess, really liked me, and there was no opportunity at the time to work in the asset management company, she suggested that I come back in January and work in the other organization, the NGO, while she tries to work on getting me into the investment side. And so I took on that opportunity. It was great because what ended up happening is I was working in the NGO side, but at the same time still doing investment work on the side. So I would just like do the investment work like chini ya maji, you know. The analyst would give me some research to do on you know, businesses that can be invested in the market. I would do, of course, your intern kazi ya mkono, filing. At the same time, I would help the finance manager with the operation stuff. I would do client management, talk on the phone, you know, pick up calls from clients, meet clients. And on the
as an intern.
And the NGO side, like with Andia, I was like everything because there was no other employee. It was me and her, basically. So I was like her handbag, which was great. It sounds horrible, but it was amazing because what ended up happening is I would go for all these senior level meetings with her because I had to write the minutes because there was no one else. So I got to be in this room with all these senior level CEOs, C-suite, MDs, senior managers, and listen to them speak, right? Listen about how they think about the company, what they think about, how they strategize. I got to plan 1 week event because Michelle came from South Africa to Kenya for a week, and we had a week full of activities, right, which included conferences, a dinner with entrepreneurs. I got to write proposals to companies, Coca-Cola, EABL, and here I am at 22 figuring this out on my own, right? And I didn't have anyone working me through it. Actually, it was baptism by fire. But it was a great experience because I got to see, to meet these people and see that they're just the same as me. I got to experience being in those rooms, which of course led to me being here today as CFO and just thinking about how I conduct myself as well in those meetings. And also I got to do a wide variety of things because I did operations, I did client management, I did accounting, I did finance, I did proposal writing. So it's just a wealth of experience.
Gosh, you were doing 2 jobs at the same time and pretty much everything in those jobs. But then such a great attitude. What was your drive? What was your motivation?
I believe at that time, you know, you always hear how it's hard to get a job, right? And I felt blessed that I was in a company. So all I wanted to do was learn as much as I could. Just learn, take everything in, gain so much experience. And that would propel me to the next thing. This may not have been ideal, right? What I wanted to was just do investments, grow in that. But I had a foot in the door. I had an opportunity which many people didn't. So I took that on. And also in life, you know, what you want to do might not be what you end up doing. Right? So you also need to be open to other opportunities. You can't be stuck on one way. So, I wanted to learn. I had a foot in the door. Great words, great attitude. So let's move on. How did you transition from that to, I guess you got a job eventually? Job. So it took about maybe 7 to 9 months for me to actually be officially employed in the investment company, right? The asset management company. So this was 7 to 9 months of me just doing work on the side, and hoping that the board will be like, okay, now we have capacity to take someone on, because it was a new company, so they didn't have the resources. So I finally got an official contract, and I was so happy, with pay and benefits. I think I had like pension and of course NHIF and stuff. So that was great, and I was still doing both jobs. So I'm still doing both jobs at this point.
Till now?
Till that point. I'm doing 2 jobs. And I was managing because my boss is the same, basically. And everybody knew that I had 2. So I just managed to do both. And I did that for about 2 years. until I thought now it was time to go and do my master's. Yeah. So this 2 years job for me, I feel like it was double, like 4 years of experience.
Yes.
Because I was doing so much.
Yes.
Yeah.